Just before we get into this video, guys, if you want to follow me on social media, on Twitter and Instagram, the links are here. And if you also want to support me on Patreon as well and help out my channel, that would be absolutely awesome as well. But let's get on with the video. Hey guys, it is Wingy here and welcome to a brand new comic book review. Now this time we are going to be talking about another Marvel story. I did say that I was going to move away from DC and Marvel, however, not just yet. This time around we are talking about Deadpool versus Carnage. Now I've got to say from the get-go, this is one that I was interested in purely because Carnage is a fucking awesome villain and Deadpool is a just brilliant Marvel character, and to see those two come across each other and have a fight and a disagreement or whatever it is sounded fucking awesome. I also love the idea as well that because Deadpool is batshit crazy, Carnage is mentally insane as well. It would have made for a really interesting read. However, what did I actually think about it? I've got to admit, I was actually a bit disappointed with this. I also feel a little bit shortchanged as well, because usually, for those who don't know, when you get a graphic novel, it is around 6 issues of a story per graphic novel, or maybe it's the entire story if it's short enough. This one is 5 issues, which isn't necessarily a massive problem because 5 issues is still a decent length for a story. The only problem is the first issue in this has nothing to do with Deadpool versus Carnage. It is just a Carnage story. It's about the Carnage symbiote going back to Cletus Cassidy. Now that is not a problem whatsoever because in fact it was a very good issue. It was a very entertaining issue. It was also a very brutal issue in places as well. But it has no relevance to the rest of the stuff whatsoever. It's got nothing to do with Deadpool. There's no setup for what's about to happen. It's just there to kind of fill out the pages. And like I say, even though that first issue, or at least the first chapter of this graphic novel, is good, it's a bit like, oh, okay. So this is a 4-issue mini-series then, and again, like I say, for what it isn't bad, but I do somewhat feel a bit shortchanged. Because it is 4 issues long, it doesn't feel like the story can properly develop and properly tell the story that I think it wanted to. If you're familiar with the characters of both Deadpool and Carnage, then you will know exactly what those two are like, and seeing those two clash with each other could have been something incredible. Deadpool, like I say, breaks the fourth wall, is batshit crazy, but is also over the top with his violence as well. Carnage is a much darker character, but is also over the top and very violent. So you've got potential there for incredible fight scenes, and whilst you do get them in there, there's only like really 1 or 2 really good ones, and then the final showdown happens, but then it doesn't happen. To clarify what I mean there is, there's a bit of a scuffle, and then it leads as if there's going to be another one, and it's going to be like the final showdown, and it just doesn't happen. Which was a real shame, because part 3 ends on a cliffhanger. I'm not going to spoil what it is, but when you see that cliffhanger, you think, oh fuck, like this is gonna be good. And then you go into that final issue and nothing happens with that cliffhanger, really. Or at least it doesn't go as far enough as you would have liked it to. Another problem that I had with this story is the fact that both Carnage and Deadpool, the nature of those characters, they don't really work just by themselves. And now the prime example of this would be the Deadpool movies, because Deadpool is that character that is funny and quippy and insane, but he works best when he's played off of the straight man type character. Now, for those who don't know what that means, it's not gender stereotyping or sexuality or anything like that. It's basically a character who is so serious and deadpan that they bounce off of a character who is totally opposite to them. So Colossus and Deadpool is the prime example of that in the movies. But when you have a character like Carnage who is not exactly the same as Deadpool but is quite similar, either you're going to get a story that doesn't totally work because they're both just too much and it's a bit too much for the audience to take, or you tone one of them down. And in this case, I found that they toned down Carnage to be the character who is the straight man. Not totally, don't get me wrong, but Carnage does seem a lot more subdued than I'm used to seeing him. I mean, out of the two, yeah, I would prefer that Deadpool stayed as Deadpool and didn't get toned down like he kind of is in the Ultimate Universe. But Carnage is such a fucking awesome character that you want to see him fully at his best too. I mean, don't get me wrong, I have been quite negative about this, but it is a decent read. It's not one that I would say rush out and get it right now because it is fucking amazing. But it is a story where it's like, if you do get the chance to read it, if you can pick it up on the cheap, then definitely check it out. It does have some brilliant moments. Like, Deadpool in this is hysterical. He literally is just normal Deadpool that you're used to seeing, and that is always awesome. I love Deadpool. I think he is one of the best Marvel characters, and if you like the Deadpool movie as well, everything that you get in those films, you get in this comic book. In fact, there's moments in this book where I'm just like, yeah, I can imagine Ryan Reynolds saying that. Again, Carnage is toned down, but he does also have his moments as well. Like the first issue, where it is just his story, is fucking brutal. And I suppose that's kind of one of the reasons why I didn't like the direction that they took Carnage in this story, because Carnage in this first part is just how I know Carnage to be, and so you compare that with the rest of the book and you get a slightly different Carnage and you just feel a bit shortchanged. The artwork is brilliant though, I will say that. It is a really well drawn graphic novel. There are brutal action moments and they are drawn to perfection, especially with a character like a symbiote, for example. In a comic book they always do the speech bubble slightly differently, and so seeing the contrast of a red speech bubble with Deadpool's speech bubble, or when he's breaking the fourth wall or something like that, it was really enjoyable to read and it's really eye-pleasing. I know that's such like a simple thing, but it's surprisingly effective. At least to me it is anyway. Overall though, like I say, it's a good read. It's worth checking out, but not one that I would rush to get. I am slightly disappointed with it overall because I expected more from these two characters coming together and clashing and fighting one another, particularly the end, because it does feel rushed and it doesn't feel totally satisfying. But there is some genuinely great stuff in here, like the action when it happens is fantastic. I think the build-up of the story is also pretty good. There's a lot of stuff in here about destiny, which I didn't really talk about, but that's kind of spoilery stuff. However, what you should know is that aspect of the book is done very well. But overall, I'm gonna have to give this one a 6.5 out of 10. But in the comments below, guys, let me know what you think. Have you read Deadpool vs Carnage? Do you agree with what I'm saying? Do you not? Whatever it is, let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you leave a like on it, subscribe for more. Social media links and Patreon will be in the description as always, so if you would follow me on any of those things, I would absolutely love you forever. But till next time, guys, you take care of yourselves. Goodbye.